So what is recursion? Anybody seen this movie before, Inception? The whole idea of that is like a dream inside a dream. That is recursive dreaming, if that makes sense to you. So a recursion is when we call a function inside of itself. And so you get this situation where it's kind of like Inception, where you have a dream inside a dream inside a dream. And then what did they have to do when they were done in that? They accomplished whatever the objective was in that innermost dream. They had to go back out, right? So that's part of recursion too, is how do you exit all of those recursive loops? So here is a very simple recursive function, and it's called countdown. And whatever I do, whatever I give it here, it takes an integer. So if I call this with 10, then it will print 10. And then it will say if 10 is greater than 0, which it is, then we call countdown. So it's calling this with int counter minus 1. So it calls it with 9. And so it calls it with 9. It says int counter is 9. We print 9. If 9 is greater than 0, then we call it again with 8. And in that way, it counts down. Now, obviously, we could count down in a variety of other ways using loops. So this is far from necessary. Okay, so there is my function. And I start it by calling it the first time. Count down 10. And if I run that, it just does what it's supposed to. Now, here's the interesting thing. I'm going to, if I change this function a little bit, you'll see here that it's calling itself here. So it's doing the Inception thing here, where it's going inside itself multiple times, 10 times in fact. And then once it completes that last one where it says if int counter is greater than 0, once int counter reaches 0, then it's going to not do this part. And then that innermost one is going to complete. And then it will complete the one outside of that. So I want you to see this. If we say exiting, and we put int counter in there, see what it does is it goes 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and then it runs this line because it's exiting those loops. So this is where it's going back out of those recursive functions. So it's going into the deepest one, which is 0, and then it backs all the way out to 10. And so that's a pattern of recursion that we don't think about, but when you're building a recursive structure like this, if we leave that off, we just sort of take it for granted that it goes all the way to 0. And if there's no code there, it still backs all the way out, but you just don't see it happening. But when I run this again, it goes all the way to 0, and then it does everything in reverse after. Because after each time this completes running, then it executes this line in the one that contained it. So just like the movie Inception, once we get to the practical parts of this, it starts to feel like our brain is melting a little bit.